Hello, everybody. This is the Global Party 2017, Healing from the Inside Out, and I have the extraordinarily talented, creative, inspirational gift. She's also very beautiful, Annie Matthias.
Hi, everybody. I've been watching the Global Party. I don't know if you all have been able to see different parts of this, but I've been watching it on and off all day because I'm in California, and so it's like 3 o'clock here now. But this is so fun. I am just so enjoying all the different guests. Oh, what an absolute treat! Some of them I have to go back and watch the replays because I couldn't watch the whole thing. But it's just so encouraging to see all this wisdom coming out. And Jacqueline, thank you for hosting this and putting this all together. It's just wow, a big wow.
Well, I think that's just the time now, right? Is we all follow our inner guidance. We all do our own thing. And that's my thing, was just to bring everybody together and allow your voices and lights to shine in the way that you do. And so we're going to be talking about
using our authentic voices to share our inner stories. I did some interviews with Jacqueline. We talked about the creative breath, but I want to talk more about our inner stories and how to find those, how to bring those out. And I always kind of use my own life, which I'm willing to be vulnerable in, because I think that really helps people relate without having to put themselves out on the line. So they can just, if I share from my own life, they can go, oh, yeah, I know how that is, without putting anybody on the spot, which is kind of a scary thing. So I never want anybody to feel uncomfortable. But then in the end, people usually come forward and say, oh, yeah, that happened to me too. So, before
we go into that whole thing, because what you may or may not know about Annie, she's also a talented musician. But right now she's having a little healing she isn't allowed to play. And so you've chosen, instead of, playing for us, you've chosen piece of, was it with the crystal balls?
Yes, crystal balls,
And this was also using your authentic voice with the crystal balls, and we're going to have a listen to this.
Okay, this is a video that I prepared, and this is also a poem that I wrote. And I put the video together, and just listen about the universe within. And it starts out, and then it goes all the way to the end, and the astrophotography is quite wonderful, too.
Okay. But I don't know if I can show the astrophotography or not. So we're just going to listen.
Okay. Whatever is fine.
The universe within.
Oh.
The universe that is folded up within me whispers in the night, tearing down the old beliefs that I am merely a puny form. I look into night sky, beyond the closest stars that gleam 1,000,000 miles away, and I understand there is more, so much more. And in curiosity and telescopic examination, I learn that which is seen as dark is over 3,000 galaxies I have never before viewed, or known about, or even pondered. Looking into outer darkness to uncover galaxies in the night sky, looking into inner darkness to understand the universe within. I first move from the form of human in the small world I stand upon, into union with rock, blade of grass, tree, and all men. And now I move beyond my small earth world view, my solar system view, my galaxy view, and into the universe, into all that is. It was but a brief flash, a glimpse, a mere knowing, because I'm expanding beyond that old puny form. It was a glimpse that did not last, and yet this glimpse called me into the next step, and it waits there for me.
That is so energizing. Like, that is, it's got this calming, I could just feel all this vibrational energy. So that's the crystal bowls.
Mm-hmm. And Jacqueline, I think what I'll do is I'll put the link for that particular video so people can watch, because there's beautiful photography that goes with it too, from Wildwood Observatory in Boyne City, Michigan. But when I put that together, the crystal bowls wanted to be kind of an edgy sounding feeling, because it was all about space. And as it relates to us, we often think that we are these puny forms, but we're not. And that's one of the things about finding our inner stories. I'm sorry, I just have a passion about this. So will see me get really excited, because this is something that I have spent a lifetime not only learning, but teaching. And I just think it's incredible work. And I am just a hollow reed. I'm not, I just am. I'm a hollow reed, but the crystal bowls are kind of that edgy, moving deeper, moving into all these harmonics and all this space and all of this type of thing. Because as we begin to learn to have the courage, and I wanted to share about that today, of having the courage to find our inner stories, because it does take courage. It doesn't take any courage, really. Well, it might take some to write about what I did for my summer vacation. But when we start moving into
just look at that person who wrote that first story. They stretch themselves to say what I did in my summer vacation.
It takes another kind of courage to go deeper inside and to allow ourselves to be vulnerable, and to allow that vulnerability to be seen, even if it's just by ourselves. And when I teach writing, I talk about, oh, hi, Anne Marie. I talk about not just writing in the lines, but going down below the lines as a metaphor, going down below the lines in your work, when you're working on your words, when you're penning on the page. Don't just say what you think somebody wants to say, or don't just, say what you think would be nice. Mm-hmm. And don't worry about the grammar. Don't worry about the spelling. It doesn't have to be very neat. If you're writing longhand, or if you're working on your computer keyboard, but allow those words to come out. It's almost like allowing the very essence of yourself to come out on the page. Recently, Jacqueline knows this. Go ahead.
No, I was just like, I can just feel it. There's just so much. This is great.
Recently, and I wanted to have it done for today, but it's not. And so I had to learn to just say, okay, that's just how it is. But I have a book, which I have just put together. It's called The Voice of Real, and it's my story. Now, I have to say, there's another, I don't know if any of you saw Nicole this morning, Nicole Mignon.
Yes.
I did. I know. I caught her on the replay, but she had, she and I have been friends, and she knows that I write. And she also said, I'm just waiting for you to offer a writing class, because I want to take it. And I had an ear surgery, so I've just been on a little bit of a hiatus for a bit, but I will be offering those soon. But anyhow, she said to me in this one video that she did, she said, is there anything that you have just been putting off? And I was supposed to be able to get back to my normal 4 weeks ago, but the doctor, because they had to work on the little tiny bones inside my ear, and now I can hear out of this ear. Before I was deaf in this ear, but I can hear. It's just amazing. But I can't play the flutes. I can't play my didgeridoo. I can't lift any of my clay. I can't do anything that I'm normally used to be doing. And so, I was like, on one hand, I was so excited about, being able to hear. But on the other hand, I wanted the doctor to say, okay, you can just go back to your normal life after 6 weeks of recovery. Well, what happened, though, was, as it always is, when we're walking in that flow, Nicole said that to me, and she said, Annie, you are so loved and supported. That your tribe stands beside you. What can we do to help you to get your books out? Because she knows that I have 4 books that are already written, right. But to put them out there, to me, that requires great courage. I have other books that I have published, but as they go deeper and deeper, and they seem to require more and more courage. Well, that was the next day Louise Hay died. And as she left the planet, I could just feel this energy of, that woman, she started Hay House at age 65. Is that incredible or what? Age 65. And as she left the planet, I just had this sense of, I just have goosebumps. But I had this sense of the energy of, all right, you guys, it's up to you. Take it on. Do what you're supposed to be doing. And then the next day was Labor Day weekend or somewhere in there. Yeah. And I thought, okay, over Labor Day weekend, I'm going to put this book together. And I did. Sometimes I just work like a maniac. I'll, eat when I'm hungry, sleep when I'm tired. But that's my creative flow. I'll just get in there and work. And so I put together all these stories that I have written over the last years, and they're my stories. The first story is called Growing Up with Second Sight. And this is not a book about using psychic abilities or anything like that. It's a book of my stories and having the courage to come out and say, this is who I am, and these are some of the experiences I've had, with the intention that as people read the book, they also will have the courage to stand up and speak with their own voice of real. And so I put the book together, and then it was all put together, and I was terrified. I have not felt that type of terror for a very long time. And what it is it's coming forward. It's being vulnerable. It's coming out to be seen. Now, some people who know me really well know that, I have funny eyes, I have funny ears, all this kind of stuff. But it's not, I don't have a 3x5 card or a business card that says I do this type of work. That's just not my mode. I teach, when I would do counseling, I would not say, I would just move it into where I was working. And basically I hid a lot of the things that I do, wishing I could be invisible, but I would use it, but from a different angle so that I couldn't be seen. And putting this book out is me being seen. It's me allowing myself to come forward and say, here I am. Well, in that process, using my authentic voice with my deeper inner stories was allowing that terror to come up. Then it was a little kid inside of me. It was the years, the terror, the experience of being afraid, and allowing to sit with that, and then releasing it, letting it go. Right. And I'm really excited about this book coming out because a couple people had read it to review it for me. Recently, a dear friend of mine read it, and she said, I cried the whole way through. And then I went back and read it again. So when we use our inner voices, there is something that happens that's way beyond us. When we use our authentic voices, and this is really what I wanted to share today is, you know what, guys, the world needs us to be using our authentic voices. Long gone is the time where we could just sit back and play nice or play that color in that little coloring book and stay in all the lines or do it all perfectly. No, the world needs the gift of you. And each one of us, like Jacqueline's been doing this incredible global party, this is the gift of her that she is putting out there to the world. And we all have gifts. So our authentic voice is using our own voice of real and being able to tell our inner stories. Okay, that's my little opening spiel.
It's more than I feel that it's what you're talking about, is that if each of us has our own authentic voice,
yes,
our own inner story.
Yes.
My story is different than your story, and it's different than everybody else's story that's sharing today.
Yes.
The gift is that there are people that totally connect and resonate with the voice of real, right?
Yes.
And the voice of everybody's real. Because that's what life is. There is, and I honestly feel there was a man in the 50s, and he said, everything is the divine. Everything is the creator, right? Bruno Green said, so don't thank me, write it down. If you want to do anything, write it down. And I feel like that's the whole personal development, self-expression movement has been writing it down. And now the gem is, it's not to take someone else's book and say, this is what they said, right? It's to take that book and go, maybe there's something there, maybe not. What do I feel? And what is my authentic voice? Because as I listen across everybody that's talking today, we are all saying similar things.
Yes.
but different ways. And ultimately, it's that what resonates with each of us is what we want to just continue to forge ahead and keep that authentic voice and the wheels in motion and sharing our inner stories, because it's the voice of real.
Yep, that's right. That's exactly right. And it's the landscapes are different. Like your landscape may be different than mine. You might have different things growing in your garden than I do, but all about being who we have been created to be. And Stephen Pressfield, I love his quote. He said, "Don't keep your gift hidden. Don't keep your gift. The world needs your gift." And it goes back to the biblical story of don't hide your talents under a bushel and all of that. And I think that as a writer and as a teacher and as a storyteller, telling our stories is not only important for other people, but also, not only important for ourselves, but also other people. And as we tell our stories, there's a healing medicine that works in that too. You and I talked about the layers that come off as we tell stories, but it's like with dreams, to go back and change the script. I heard you talk about lucid dreaming before. I'm a lucid dreamer, and there's been times I've kicked people out of my dreams. A reoccurring dream, and I'll finally say, okay, that's it. And I'll go in and change the dream. But, really owning our stories and then being able to rewrite them or look at them from a different perspective. One of the things I sometimes have writers do is to write down something that happened to them that was really a tough situation, and then tell it from the perspective of the gentleman sitting over here on the park bench. What does he see? And to be able to shift and change things around so that we can offer healing in our own lives and our own circumstances.
And when you talk about the gentleman on the park bench, right, and writing it from their perspective, that's gives me the same ideas that you and I are both acting on a stage, right, in this script. And we each have the script, and I have my role to play in the sense, but I have that expression that comes through it.
Yes.
You have the expression, but we need to be together co-creating in order for it to really to, be a Broadway sensation.
There you go. There you go. And I love the thing about co-creating, because I think that we can also co-create within ourselves. Like there's been different story groups that I've been teaching, and people will bring a piece of work and we share and have a chance to really be heard and hear others. And there's been a couple different times when people will just, in the midst of their story, they'll break out in song. They'll start to sing because they've worked in, somebody from the French Quarter singing this song that they remember as a child. So it's just, co-creating with all the different parts of us. One of the things that I also do is I don't know if you can see this, it's probably backwards.
Metaphorically yours.
Yes, this is a book that I wrote, and it's a process that I teach about going and finding your own inner stories. And we don't have time to really go into all of that, but it's taking, there's a process, it's a meditation where people do a type of work. And of course, I tell them you don't have to be an artist or anything like that, and it's just step by step. And I'm in the process of putting this together as an online course. But when I first wrote this, and I listened for my own stories, I have to say I have grown into my stories over the past 15 years in a way I never imagined possible. I read these stories and thought, oh yeah, that's true. But as we come to know our own inner stories, over the years they become richer and fuller and more powerful than we knew them years ago when maybe we first learned them.
So I have this belief, and I don't know if you do or not, so I'm just going to throw it out there, is that we come into this incarnation or this experience with an authentic inner story to express.
Yes.
And then we might forget about it, or we get traumatized at it, or whatever it is. But then really that's the journey. Journey is to express that authentic story. So now that we're all saying, yes, we're giving you permission to do it, we should just all be like free and excited, wonderful, happy people. That
would be lovely. I don't think it happens that way. It takes there's a lot of layers of conditioning, and there's a lot of layers of things that we have taken on as truth, different belief systems, which are actually erroneous, but we've taken those on as truth, and we have to unlearn what we once thought to be important or true. Or, maybe I remember as a child, back in those days, people say, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I said, I want to be a poet and an artist. Well, that was the wrong answer in 1961, because as I know you've talked about before, Jacqueline, artists were poor, and they were like many people remember the beatnik era and all this kind of thing. So, I went on in my life, and I hold a master's. I'm a trained therapist. I'm a blah, blah, blah. I've worked in computer, blah, blah, blah. I've done all sorts of different types of things. And what did I come back to? Being an artist and a poet. Because I had to go through that process in order to give myself permission and work against all those voices that were so strong in me of, oh no, you can't do that. But I'm also in a place now, I don't hide my poetry under the mattress anymore. I have refused to do that. And I know that sometimes the artists and the poets, I think, are oftentimes the wise people of our time. They are, because they're proclaiming different types of things. And it doesn't have to be just an artist or a poet in the sense of Vincent van Gogh. Right. It's all of us.
Yeah.
And you might be a superior artist at putting together incredible nutritional food. And you put it together in such a manner that when people come to eat this wonderful food that you have lovingly prepared, they just can feel it all in their bodies and all in their spirit. So don't get locked into thinking, artist, poet type of thing. But yes, I agree with you. It'd be wonderful if we could just all say, oh, yippee skippy. But it doesn't work that way. And I also believe that some of us have had to break down generational type of things within our families. I have grandchildren who are doing art, and it's wonderful, wonderful. And I would have never, growing up as I did, I would have never been allowed to do that. It was never encouraged. And I think you and I talked about how doing an artistic thing was like a dessert, rather than a vital piece that we eat. And it's so wonderful to see this incredible shift now.
Well, that's where I feel that technology has an asset for the younger generation, because they do have the opportunity to create, even if you think it's just a Snapchat thing.
Yes,
they are essentially allowing themselves to do some creative stuff. And I do think there's enough information out there now in the world, not like when we were growing up, that says, you know what, love your life. And I feel like that there's an inner knowing in these kids that, like mine are 22 and 18, that they, even their friends, even though they didn't come up the same way my kids did, in their friends are like, I don't want to be. I think that whole millennial generation says, I don't want to be like all you guys, working your little butt off and waiting till I'm going to retire to live my life, right? I'll downsize, I'll small size, I'll travel, I'll whatever. They will do it differently. It's an inner calling that says, I'm going to, if I'm going to be an artist, I'm going to be an artist. And they're coming up with new, creative, innovative ways to do it. And I feel that the shift with that is going to happen a heck of a lot faster than where we had to sort of plug along through this process before. It's like, yes, now, I mean, it's like you doing the green screen on your video, right? I was just like blown away when you did that.
I've actually taken some of my stories on my YouTube channel. I've taken some of my stories and turned them into video using some of my art, using my own soundtracks for music because I don't have to ask permission. But, there's all sorts of ways with our technology today that we can have that expression. It's wonderful. It's amazing. But, I also wanted to say, though, that one of the things about the Voice of Real, one of the reasons that I wrote it, one of the other reasons was my friend Hans King said to me, Annie, you need to write how you survived. People need to hear your story. And I think that's really true because not everybody is 23. There's many people, I've talked, even in the last couple of weeks, I've talked to a few people who have these wonderful giftings or stories inside, and they just stopped writing, or they stopped talking about it because they were afraid. Now, fear doesn't always feel like fear. It always tastes like chicken, but it doesn't always feel like fear. Fear can just come up as a deer in the headlight, and we just stop and we're not sure why. And oftentimes it's because we're afraid of being vulnerable. Now, I love the work of Brené Brown. She's just turned the world upside down with her studies about vulnerability. And I love that. And finally, because those of us who have walked in vulnerability for years have known that it takes a great deal of courage. But now, scientifically, somebody is saying it and proving it with studies. And so that's a wonderful thing. So anyhow.
Yeah, so you're giving permission to a whole generation.
Yes.
Has been quieted or lived inside the box. They may have had a great career, but they're still unfulfilled. And you're saying, hey, guess what? You have that opportunity to share your inner story, share your authentic voice, get it out there, because in the process of letting it come out, so much more can still be in your life.
Incredible. And, from a mental health point of view, that honesty is so healthy for us. Mm-hmm. That honesty allows us to, even if, I don't know anybody who's perfect, I'm sure not, but even in the process of being able to say, oh, I did this terrible thing, or, oh, I did this, and learning to make the pieces fit, learning to even be heard, and people didn't, their legs didn't fall off, or the sky didn't fall in, and that's one of the reasons why I often, when I teach storytelling or writing, I will have small groups, safe groups, and what we do is we come together. What is said in that group stays in the group. It's not open for public discussion. It's not open for gossip or anything like that, because, as artists and writers and creatives, we need safe places to be able to come out and say, okay, I'm going to read this. And then if people go, oh, wow, that was really great, you're going, it was? It didn't scare you? Oh, no. But we need the experiential chance to be heard in a way that is accepted. Because we don't always be accepted in everything we do, but we need those safe tribes. We need those safe places.
Yeah, and I think probably, in my experience anyways, when I do that concept of being vulnerable, although there's all this lovely science, is still that, for me anyways, it's that illusion that I can't trust my inner guidance, right? It's this attachment to this energy that says, you know what, I'm doubting, or whatever the process, because when I realize that I'm taking my vulnerability and opening to a new level, there is this woo, and it's like, okay, it's just a woo, and it's like, okay, so just breathe through it.
Right.
I think that Paul talked about today, just finding that space, realizing it's not a whoa, it's a let it go, and then go, you know what, I'm going to be okay, because I trust I wouldn't be guided this way unless it was for my highest and best good.
And then in the midst of that, we change how we think about things. We see things as an adventure rather than, the other shoe going to fall. And we really change bit by bit our puny, like I said in the universe within that poem, our puny worldview into this incredibly huge, beyond the solar system view. And we begin to move in places that we never thought we would before.
Yeah.
And it's a process. I think that, it would be nice if we could just click our fingers and instantly, but that doesn't happen for many people. Sometimes I've seen people just get something all of a sudden, and that's fine. But for most people, it's a process. And it's okay. Because I think that when we have to, I know for me, when I have to undergo, like I have in my own life, overcoming, having the courage not to have my poetry hidden under the mattress, not to be afraid of being ridiculed or belittled or beaten or called a witch or a heretic or all sorts of things. Then what has happened for me is I've gained compassion for others who are also might be struggling with that. And I can come along beside them instead of saying, oh, just get over it. I can say, it's okay. Come on, I'll walk along beside you.
Right. So Benny was just saying we are in the age of reprogramming, changing our minds and changing our lives. And I think that's beautiful. that's an authentic story right there.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yes, we are.
You got to get on the latest software upgrade.
Yeah, how does he make it? That's really cool. I have a picture of Benny. I don't know you, Benny, but I have a picture of you on my screen, and you're in a circle, and then you have your, what you had to say. That's amazing. I didn't get that.
A new thing that I just figured out how to do.
Beautiful. It's beautiful.
It's also great. So, yeah, this is, you know what I love is that all these conversations today, it's like they can just keep going. And that's what I really want to see happening, because the more everybody realizes that, that it's just each of us. We're all individual and special, just because we are.
Yes.
That's all it is. And
I know.
That's it. It's simple as that. But as we share, it's like we feed off each other. You see the energy grow, and people get the ahas and the yes, and they feel supported, and they go, yeah, I can go ahead and do this. I can have my healing from the inside out. Because look at Annie now publishing The Voice of Real at older than me by just a few years.
But it's, I've been writing all my life, but this is probably the most revealing book that I have put forth. And I've already started volume 2. Because there's lots of stories. I woke up one morning and I heard, you have so many stories inside of you, because I'm a dreamer, and it's a place that's really powerful for me. But I thought, we all have stories inside of us, powerful stories. And if we can learn to allow those stories to come forth and listen to what our stories are, we will remember that which we've forgotten, and we'll be able to go back and reclaim. It's just like I heard you talking about journeying today. This is a type of journeying. Mm-hmm. It's so interesting. It's all the same, only just using different words and different methods.
So do you have any plans at the moment to offer sort of a online helping us find our authentic voice?
Yes, I have a couple plans. I had really wanted to have a program called ConvertKit up and running now, which has all sorts of autoresponders and blah, 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 blah. Well, I'm kind of not doing really well on that. So I'm just going to do it old school, and I'm going to offer writing classes, and I'm going to, until I can get this up and running, but I'm going to offer some writing classes, and which I've done before, and also a poetry reading in a Zoom room, which I dearly love. That's a freebie. Just come and read your poetry in a Zoom room with other poets from around the world. So I do. I have some plans. I will put on, if I may, I will post my Facebook thing. And when this book comes out, I plan to do a very soft launch where I'll tell people it'll be available. And then I also, next weekend, I'm going to be starting to offer some writing classes. And the writing classes I like to keep small. I like to keep them maybe 6 people. And I like to keep them where we meet and we read our work. I'll give a prompt. Each writing class will be about a month long. You can take as many as you like. But I guess I'm just more for the heart and the healing than I am for bringing in millions to do this process. And that's just kind of how I am, because I find that to be the most helpful.
That's beautiful. Benny says congratulations on your book.
Oh,
and so the information on connecting with you is either above or below, one or the other, because I think there's one above and one posting, and then we'll put it again below. So everybody, you'll post it there. So you'll see in the comments of how to connect.
Okay.
The whole idea is to share our authentic voice. No, share our inner stories using our authentic voice.
Yes, yes. And one of the things that I know, one of the things in my life is I'm an encourager. And I just have the ability, I'm also a space holder, so I have the ability to, see things in people and hold the space for them, that's just kind of how I am formed. So in the writing, that comes in really handy, because all the people who are shy or say I can't write or I can't do this and that, for them to come in, find a place for themselves. Me to say, welcome home, here we are, let's get started. And that's just one thing I really love. And my students do too, I've been told. So
That's a fabulous way to finish off. That saying yes, that their students love you, and I love you too.
Thank you for doing this. This is so fun, and thank you for asking me to be a part of it again. I've just had a blast watching this. So,
well, hopefully on December solstice, you can come back and go back to playing the didgeridoo.
I will. Another 2 weeks, I'll be playing the didgeridoo. I saw Bridget playing her drum. I want to invite her to come down here and do some drumming with us. Yeah, you'll be hearing music. That'll be awesome. It's just I've had to let my ear heal, so I've been good about that. So thank you so much.
Bye. Thank you, everybody, for being with us. We'll see you again at the top of the hour. Bye.